Alright, called Put in Piso here. The truth of it all is that we are evolved, mutated primates that create the mind with our brains. We are composed of atoms. We are
part of a star. In fact, everything around us was once part of a star. Those stars forged all the heavier elements that would much later come together to create the molecules that form everything we see. The universe is a place dominated by extreme sizes. And while it seems the massive and the minute are separated by unimaginable differences, they're actually more similar than you may think.
Something I find intriguing as a scientist is that the structure of the very, very large looks very much like the structure of the very, very small.
Exactly. Look at our brains.
Inside those atoms, they begin to look a bit like the universe.
We have the universe within, inside our brains.
It's the size of things in the universe that make it such a puzzle. And it's only by looking at the very big and the very small that we can piece together answers about how the universe came to exist.
Exactly.
And why it evolved into something that would include us.
Yeah.
People who are looking at the biggest thing you can think about, the universe.
We began to understand everything because our brains evolved, dissipating deluded beliefs in the supernatural and gods, and learning science due to the lack of those beliefs. In other words, atheism. We have to look inside ourselves, and then we'll be very, very surprised to see what we find. The universe is within.
If you think of how the brain works, it's all a collection of about 100 trillion neurons. If you look at a neuron alone, you're not going to understand intelligence or consciousness. So, and when they do MRIs of the brain, they see clusters of neurons firing together, like that.
Let's go back many centuries, and you'll realize that primitive men didn't understand things. They don't understand themselves, and the gods answer everything, and they were the stars and nature. And what made those thoughts alive and those gods alive were entheogens, psychotropic substances acting on the brain, make them see gods.
A celestial, but they're gods floating in the spirit world. The moon, and next to it, is Venus.
Enormous amounts of information comes in.
Mankind's use of hallucinogenic mushrooms, more commonly known today as magic mushrooms, can be traced back over 7,000 years.
There you go, people.
Ancient artwork.
Everything was personified in ancient times. They recorded images of the gods and the spirits of the animals in caves, painting them over 30,000 years ago. The use of entheogens, like a tropa belladonna that dilated the pupils. And then they personified everything, even the stars and the moon, the sun, the life-giving of the sun, even their penises, and the ladies' vaginas or cave of creation. They're all personified. They represented their fears and in caves. And here's the Venus of Willendorf. And now the breast is equivalent to a penis, and also represented in here. This is the ancient, the oldest statue in the world, about 13,000 years old. And here is a symbol of a cross, which is the rays of the sun god. Then Egyptian organized religion very well and deemed their sexual organs as sacred. The autofellatio of between the gods in the stars. The Virgin Mary, which today Virgin Mary is nothing but Isis, is the star of Venus, which also took human form. And here the lioness goddess, and you can see the breast representing almost equivalent to a penis, and all the goddess Ashura is also represented here, and all the queens in ancient times believed to be reincarnation of the goddess Isis or Venus.
A female pharaoh in a country that did not even have a word that did not.
And the holy penis or penis Christ and the holy vagina were part of religious ceremonies.
Treatise on the art of lovemaking. Some have suggested that it's a religious text.
Exactly, that's what it is.
Of the Epicurean erotic papyrus, it's very hard to know what it was used for. It certainly wasn't written by peasant farmers. It comes from very literate, sophisticated people.
Religious belief originated from the ingestion of entheogens, and all of them have sacred sex. Blood was sacred, semen was sacred. This is the reason of circumcision. Here you see an ancient, like a cross-like thing that represents a penis and the rays of the sun. Here is the Roman tropaeum. The rays of the sun, God, were equivalent to a penis and represented as a snake or a cross symbol. The Romans used it as a victory symbol, but represents the penis. It's a lake of fire, and they look like swords here.
Entire body within hours of his death.
There you go.
A wax effigy was created from it.
Exactly.
Stab wounds and all, to be displayed at Caesar's funeral.
Yeah, but put the arm.
At the funeral, his body was taken to the Campus Martius, where a great pyre was built.
Virgin Mary was nothing but a representation of the vulva, the vagina, the Venus, the planet Venus, the life giver, Lucem Ferra. And the cross is nothing but a symbol of the penis, which is equivalent to a snake. Those are the facts. Here is the penis, a snake of the Bible on a cross. But the most important things that the ancients had in their religious ceremonies to be able to see God were entheogens, psychotropic substances. Many times they didn't realize, like ergot, infection of rye, they didn't realize that they were actually eating this stuff, and all of a sudden saw gods, and they didn't know why. So they believed the gods were real, but were all created in the brain.
It was a special wine made from barley. Could mere wine be the source of such remarkable visions?
No way, not only wine. Use more stuff. There's a lot of other
Scholars
substances.
believe that barley could induce visions.
Flowers.
This ergot, which grows on barley, evokes powerful hallucinations.
Claviceps purpurea is the
During the
fungus.
Middle Ages, whole villages went temporarily insane from eating ergot-infected birds.
And Christians are already insane anyway. They don't need the drug.
Colors to a blind person. It changes the way you think.
Of the 12 participants in this psilocybin study, only 2 survive. And
they can experience a sense of close proximity to God, to the divine, and
drugs.
They report that they are infused with light.
Yep.
There's this class of compounds, the psychedelics, that has remained untouched. We're pulling them out of the deep freeze. For 30 years, 40 years, we have not looked at them clinically, and it's just incredibly exciting and compelling to do so.
These compounds are extraordinary probes, and if we are allowed to explore them under approved, safe conditions,
Claviceps purpurea right there. Ergot
is astounding.
Dose. You can't tell me that of all the drugs out there, meaning heroin is used to treat pain in other countries, you can't tell me that psychedelics don't have a medical use. They do. We just have to discover it.
how psychedelics evolved from this point as agents of healing or misuse is yet to be seen.
Scientists, neurologists, were helping these people die. They were terminally ill. They were helping to die in peace, because death can be very fearful, especially like this lady in the clip that was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and she didn't have too much to live. So these people gave her LSD and other compounds to actually make her feel very good in their last days. And then she was at peace with herself, and she started seeing all these visions and all that. And that's what people say, oh, and people, that experience death after, they come back to, and they see the tunnel, the white tunnel. It's all in the brain. It's all in the brain. There is no God. When we die, we cease to exist. The only life after death is bacteria. Because we came from bacteria 3.5 billion years ago. We evolved, and we have bacteria in our bodies waiting for us to die so they can actually devour us and kill us. So this is the fact of life. So Gods don't exist, only in our brains. Pace Deorum.